Hi, this is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home, and we are now complete with installing a massive beam. This beam was about 3,200 pounds, and it was not easy bringing it into this home. We literally had to crane it over the house, and then we had to bring it all the way in through the south entrance of the home, bring it in on some massive dollies, cut a hole through the roof, bring in the crane through the roof, and then we lifted it literally in place. And we had about 7 guys on staff when we were doing that. But the neat thing is with this entire process is we created a massive open space. Now, a couple of things that you have to keep in mind when doing something like this is that you just can't put a beam on the foundation that exists, because this foundation is only 3.5 inches thick. I do all my foundations at 4 inches thick. So if we put that right on a 3.5-inch slab, it would have cracked, it would not have been stable, and I would not have been able to put some anchor supports in there. So right below this post is 3 feet down and about 3 feet wide, almost a cubic yard of concrete, pretty much a cubic yard of concrete right there. And on top of that, we've got some anchor bolts, basically carriage bolts that were drilled down, and we epoxied those in position. And that's just this end. We did the same thing at that end. Now, if you can think in advance and you might want to create a massive open space like that, then think about the foundation. That's the biggest issue, is do you have to cut into the foundation to make something like this work? Well, we had to, and it worked out just great. But we were able to take out all of the interior partition framing. You look at homes that were built 90s, 80s, even far beyond that. People would break up homes. Oh, this is the living room, thinking that you need to break it up with walls. And here's the dining room. We need to break it up with walls. We don't build like that anymore. And if we do, those rooms are even bigger than what they were originally. So in designing your home, try to avoid all the interior partition framing you can. That's actually going to be a cost savings. But then think about beam structures. You can go with a glue lamp beam, which is basically 2x4s or 2x6s or 2x10s that are glued together, or you can go with an LVL structure, which is a laminate structure, which is what you see over here. We have a 4-ply LVL structure over here. Or when you really need to get beefy and you're going over a long expanse like this, you go for metal, and that can support a lot of weight. And that's basically what we did here, is we installed a massive beam. There's a lot of timing involved with this, a lot of scheduling back and forth, because if you notice here, these bolts had to be exact. We had to go measure this beam in the yard and make sure that it's going to land. If you notice, we've got double ply LVL landing right inside the socket. I had a socket or a boot welded to the beam. I have another one over here, right here. And that's also holding some support for an exterior support wall directly above that, and it's landing on the exterior wall out that way. I had to go back and forth to make sure we were dead on. That's the headache with a job like this, is to make sure that everything is lining out. When it does, it took us about 1.5 to 2 hours to get it installed. It was slick. We timed it out right. We scheduled it. We actually took the beam and lifted it at the yard where it was manufactured to find its exact center point. And that was right here. That's where the center point is. So when we brought it in and lifted it up, it wasn't, top heavy in one direction. It was like this, and we could tilt it and move it as we lifted it in place. So that's what we did, created a lot of open space. These are things I don't usually do a lot of metal, but every once in a while I run into a situation where I need massive strength, a big expanse, and supporting up a lot of structure. When that's the case, then I usually do metal. A lot of times you'll see that with homes with an 18-foot garage, which is supporting a large amount of weight above, and then you may use a metal beam. But most of the time, an LVL structure or even a glue lam will do that for you. But we got it done. We'll give you some more updates on this project. This is a massive remodel here in the Bloomington area of Southwest Utah, and this is Keith Couch with How to Build Your Own Home.